Today, I am going to show you a couple tricks that I use in late flower to help your plants finish stronger and faster using natural cues that they already understand. Come on, let's get into it. But before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Grow Dots, the easiest way to feed your high-value plants. You mix grow dots in once at the beginning of your grow, and they feed your plants all the way to harvest. You don't have to worry about nutrient burn or nutrient lockout. Grow Dots does all the hard work for you. Check them out over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, High C, let's get into it.
All right, so last episode, we were talking about what's actually going on in late flower and how to get the best out of late flower.
Yeah.
Today, let's talk about how to actually finish faster, some little shortcuts to get to harvest faster.
If that's what you're interested in, man, all right? Let's do it, man, because there's a couple fundamental things. I'll see people make these mistakes. I've made these mistakes before. And some of them are really easy to fix. Some of them, if you understand it, I think it'll make you a better grower.
All right, so let's first start off with the dark period and what's going on there and how it affects how fast you get to harvest.
You're going dark right away, huh? But for real, man, the dark period, we talk about that Florigen, the flower-generating hormone. It develops or builds up during the dark period. The first couple hours, it's just getting going. It starts ramping up after a few hours, and then by the time you're in, hour 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it is at full Florigen production. You don't want to interrupt that. If you open your door or you have a light leak that never lets it get that full, hey, it's nighttime signal, then it gets confused. That Florigen is able to partially build up. And then I was thinking about it, that if I get woken up in the middle of the night, I get a crappy night's sleep. Might take me another hour and a half to get back to sleep, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to affect me the next day, wouldn't it?
The next day and then probably the next night?
Yeah, I was thinking about this when my dog just ran in from the dog door, jumped on the bed, woke me the hell up, and I was thinking about it. And I'm like, dude, if I live to be 90, that's about this 90 years is about the same as 90 days of a plant's life. I'm like, so every day is a year? If you think about it like that, then you're like, dude, did I just waste 3 years of crappy sleep and bad production because I got woken up one night?
Well, I know also, even once you go back to sleep, it still takes a little bit for your brain to get back to where you're in
REM time and deep sleep. Yeah.
But with plants, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw that it's not even that same night type thing. The plant needs 2 or 3 days of pure, uninterrupted dark hours before it goes back. So it's not just that night. It is a couple of days that it needs to get back to full strength.
That's what we were talking about. I mean, just the same as with people. I will anthropomorphize this. How many syllables did I just get? But seriously, man, just like people, if you screw up a night's sleep, especially if somebody turns the lights on, wakes you up, turns the lights on, that really could screw you up. But what if just the TV's on? What if you fall asleep with the TV on all the time and it's just enough light to keep you from going into deep sleep or messes with your sleep? That's what I have curtains between veg and flowering. Every now and again, I might forget to close those curtains. So a little light leak under the door, that's bad. That's like falling asleep with the big screen on, man.
So make sure your plants are getting consistent, full 12 hours. You said something about some growers are experimenting with 14 hours?
13, 14. The idea is the plant counts the amount of dark hours, uninterrupted dark hours, and that's how it ripens or knows when to finish. The idea with that is if you give it extra dark hours, it's got that 1 extra hour to produce that Florigen, and it's got that extra hour when it's going full speed. So it's not like an hour in the beginning when it's just ramping up. You were giving it 1 extra hour of full speed Florigen production. So definitely something there. It's something to play with. The fundamental thing is just make sure you respect the dark period. Uninterrupted dark period is a big deal to finishing your plants high quality and on time.
Okay, let's talk about pruning because I hear conflicting information about pruning. Some people say never prune at all during flower.
that would kind of make sense. Your leaves are the storage houses. You're building those leaves up, and then those leaves are going to feed your buds with all the nutrient and sugar that's stored in them. Yeah, that makes sense. They've been doing it in nature for millions of years, but man, we're trying to come up with something crazy here. We're trying to come up with crazy, frosty, big, fat buds. And so, again, there's a couple signals that you can do. There's these hormonal signals. And during veg, we've talked about this enough to where we talk about those cytokinins that are made in the roots and come up and they merge with they have some chemistry with the auxins, and then that's what grows, and it grows up to the apical meristem, all that stuff. So in the beginning of flower, we want to encourage those big buds, right? So what we're going to do, a little crop steering, we are going to steer for those big giant buds, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing we got to do is direct the energy, start driving towards there. So we've got those cytokinins, all those growth hormones. First thing we're going to do, it's day 1 of flower. This is Swayzeing what I'm explaining if you guys want to Google it. But day 1 of flower, you cut all the leaves off. You cut all the larvae and foliage off that you don't want to direct energy to. And it's really simple. You remove all that stuff. The plant's got all these hormones and all this water that it needs to get rid of. So it brings it up, and it brings it where? To the empty stem? No, it brings it to whatever green is left. That's the flowering sites. Those are just the very start of the flowering sites. So it's going to make new leaves there. It thinks it's day 1 of flower. It still thinks it's in veg. So it makes these new leaves. We concentrate all this storage, all these solar panels, all the glucose factories right next to the bud. That's day 1.
All right, and you do this actually twice.
Sure.
You do 2 different prunes inside of flower.
Yeah, well, the leaves are the storage house, right? Mm-hmm. So on day 21, and it's important that you do these. That's what I'm saying. You can screw this up if you do it at the wrong time. If you do it anytime past day 21, because the idea is that you still have to have those hormones coming up. So week 1 of flower, still plenty of those, those cytokinins and whatnot. Week 3 of flower, there's still enough of them. So when you cut all the foliage off, of course, it's going to send that energy and those hormones and those sugars, and really the water, up to the budding site, the flowering site. And the buds are huge nutrient sinks. It's just not, there's a bunch of foliage in there, and they hold a bunch of nutrient in there. So now you're sending that energy up there, and there's really no leaves for it to go to. So it goes into the bud, it goes into the sugar leaves right around the bud, but it doesn't go to producing these giant solar panels like it did before. And if you time that right, you'll get great results. I've done it wrong before. This was in a book called 3 Alight that everybody has heard of now. Before, I was just getting bro science on it, and they were like, trim all the leaves off at the end, during flowering, man. You want to trim all those leaves off. Very counterintuitive, very, it extended the flowering period. They never seemed to ripen up. 8-week strain had pistils at 10 weeks. So it's just sending these weird signals. All we want to do here, we want to send these congruent signals that it is flowering time, it is time to regenerate, make buds, hopefully attract some pollen, but not grow giant green growth. We don't want to wake them up one time in the middle of the night and say, hey, surprise, it's summer. Let's party.
Okay, so I noticed when you do this, I haven't tried this yet, but I noticed when you do it, when you do the prune on day 1,
yep,
it does come back really quick with a lot of leaves.
Well, it thinks it's still in veg, man.
But when you do the prune on day 21,
yep,
mostly the new leaves that come back are like those sugar leaves right around the budding sites.
Yeah, definitely, because it doesn't have the energy or the wherewithal to push out all these new flowering sites. It gets up there, and there's this developing bud that can, sink or hold a whole bunch of sugar, nutrients, glucose, whatever you want to call it. So it puts it into there, and it puts it in a little sugar leaves. But yeah, that becomes your sink.
Okay, let's talk about the third trick on getting to harvest faster. And you've got dryback, and I don't think I quite understand what you're talking about here.
Dryback, we're going to allow the media to dry a bit between waterings, and we don't want to do it to wilting or anything like that. But what we're doing is we're just trying to slow. Remember, the cytokinins are in the roots. We're trying to slow that flow up. Don't forget, the cytokinins are like the veg kind of, foliage producing hormone. we want to slow that down, and we want to let that ethylene that's produced up there in the foliage canopy be dominant and ripen. So we were talking about how you can lower the humidity down a little bit. Well, if you also lower the amount of water that's in there, it just sends less of a signal. There's less of a pull, an osmotic pull, and then there's less water to pull. So what you get is less of those cytokinins, those veg dominant hormones, and you let that ethylene, those ripening, those flowering hormones be dominant.
So the ethylene's not competing with the cytokinins.
Right. The cytokinins are strong, man. They hit the apical meristem, and yeah, they will definitely develop new plant material if you let them dominate.
Okay, so what was tripping me up on this, both pruning I do in veg,
sure,
and you're saying you can actually do it in bloom. And when I do dryback, it's usually also in veg because I want those roots to go out searching for water. But there's a role for dryback in flower as well.
Yeah, it turns out nature is complex, huh?
Okay.
Hey, one last thing is that nature is complex. So I think of all these as little switches. You know, you've got your humidity as a switch, and you've got your dryback as a switch, and there's all these switches that we talked about. And the more you can flip whatever you want to say, on or off, the more you can flip into the right zone, the better you're going to be, the better you're going to flower. If you have one switch flipped because you got a light leak coming under the door, you got a little bit of a mixed signal there. If you got another flip switch because you're tons of humidity and the plant is just, the stomata's wide open and it's sucking up these hormones, you got another, switch that's flipped and it's, something stacked against you. So the better off you are, or the better flowering you'll get, the more high quality flowering and finishing faster with big fat buds is when you got all these switches in the right position. Hey, but those are just my best tips on how to get the harvest faster. But come on, I know you got some. What do you like to do? Let me know in the comments. And come on, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Share this one with another grower you know. And come on, check out the other couple of videos YouTube's recommending.